I sold over $1 billion of real estate. I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia, which is one of the most competitive markets in the entire world. Now I'm in Tulum, and I sell real estate for the cross-border program at Engel Völkers every single day. And I'm here to tell you what most agents here won't. I'm sure you've seen the pitches online, 10%, 12%, 20% return on investment, the next big thing, the next big pre-sale. I've seen it all myself as well. Some of it's true, and some of it's not the full picture. This video is the full picture. We're gonna go over the real numbers, the real ROI, line by line. We're gonna talk about which neighborhoods are generally good investments and which ones to be careful with. We're gonna talk about the lifestyle properties that aren't really about ROI at all, and why that's completely legitimate. We're gonna talk about why right now, in this specific market, might actually be one of the better times to buy if you know what you're doing. I have skin in this market. I live here. My reputation depends on my clients making good decisions. Let's go. Let's start with what Tulum actually is, because most investment videos skip this entirely, and they shouldn't. Tulum sits at the edge of the Caribbean Sea on the Yucatan Peninsula. To its south, the Siancán Biosphere Reserve, 1.3 million acres of protected jungle, coastline, and lagoon. It's been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1987, the largest protected area in the Mexican Caribbean. And because of that designation, Tulum can never expand south. The jungle stays the jungle. That's not a promise, it's a federal protection. Beneath your feet, the largest underground river system on Earth, over 10,000 cenotes on the Yucatan Peninsula. Natural freshwater sinkholes connected by hundreds of kilometers of submerged cave systems. Over 100 of them are accessible right here in the Tulum area. The Gran Cenote, Dos Hoyos, Sac Actun. Cave divers come from all over the world for this. Families come for afternoon swims in 23-degree crystal water surrounded by the jungle. Above ground, 4-story buildings maximum, with only a handful of selected developments permitted to reach 6. No Cancun towers, no wall-to-wall resorts blocking the sea. The zoning is real. The low density is protected. This is a deliberate choice that defines Tulum's character and its long-term value. They come here to reset. They come here for the health and wellness. That's a big part of the culture here in Tulum. Yoga, meditation, organic food, and architectural spaces are designed around nature rather than in spite of it. And that buyer, frankly, has a better long-term staying power than the short-term flip investor who showed up during the pandemic and is now underwater. Here's the context most people are missing. Tulum became a municipality only in 2008. That's 17 years ago. Playa del Carmen, which people think as a mature, established destination, became a municipality in 1993. It took Playa del Carmen 30 years plus to get the grocery stores, the infrastructure, the paved roads, which visitors take for granted today. Tulum is only 17 years old. You're not buying into a finished city, you're buying into the early chapters of one. And those chapters are being written fast. A presidentially approved urban development plan. Over 200 million pesos of active road investment in 2025 alone. A new international airport that handled over 1 million passengers in its first year. The Mayan train. La Comer that just opened. And a federal designation as Mexico's first sustainable tourism development zone. And the question isn't whether Tulum will mature. The question is whether you want to be positioned before or after the maturity is fully priced in. Let me address some of the things that people complain about here in Tulum because they're real. To pretend otherwise would make what I say next less credible. The roads. Yes, some roads in Tulum are unpaved. If you've been here, you know this. If you've seen videos online, you've seen the comments, and it's fair criticism for right now. But here's what those comments don't include. 200 million pesos in active road investment in 2025. With Region 15 alone, allocating over 39 million pesos specifically for paving, and every single day, roads like this are paved. The coastal road near the hotel zone has received 168 million pesos in improvements. This is active, funded, in-progress work, not a promise. Sargasso. This is a seasonal seaweed. This is real. It affects some beaches and some months more than others. The hotel zone has invested significantly in clearing the Sargasso, and the effects of the Sargasso varies year by year and by location. If a pristine beach every single day of the year is a non-negotiable for you, Tulum's beach road may frustrate you during peak Sargasso season. That's the honest answer. What I would say about both Sargasso and infrastructure. Compare them to what Playa del Carmen looked like 15 years ago. Every growing city has its growing pains. The question is whether the fundamentals underneath those pains are sound. In Tulum's case, the natural assets, the federal protection, the investment trajectory, the identity, they're all here. And let's talk about the market, because this is where the gap between the pitch and the reality is the widest. You've probably heard that the Riviera Maya is up 10% year over year. It comes from a Mexican government index, the SHF index for Quintana Roo. And here's the problem with it. Quintana Roo is not just Tulum. The index includes Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Bacalar, Holbox, and the entire coast of the state. When Cancun has a strong year, the stat goes up, regardless of what's going on here in Tulum. So what is happening in Tulum specifically? AMPI, the Mexican Association for Real Estate Professionals, the industry's own organization, their Tulum president confirmed sales volume down 40%. Rents in the condo market down by up to 80% in some segments. And we're sitting on an estimated 3 to 4 years of condo inventory at current sales rates. And that's not me being negative. That's just the data. And there's a specific reason it happened. Developers launched hundreds of projects at the same time during the 2020 to 2023 boom. Supply outpaced demand. In 2022, there was about 5,000 units on Airbnb available. By the end of 2025, that number more than doubled. When supply outpaces demand, prices and rents go down. And that's just not unique to Tulum. That's just basic economics. But, and this is very important, the correction isn't uniform. It hits hardest in the specific segments in specific locations and creates specific opportunities, which brings us to the 3 ways to win this market right now. The hotel zone, the most supply-constrained, best-performing rental area in Tulum. Beachfront properties from $3,500 per square meter. Occupancy rates that generally hold up year over year. If you can afford to buy here, the numbers work. Limited new supply protects existing owners. The verdict, the safest rental market in Tulum. Aldeazama, probably one of the best all-around neighborhoods for investors. Infrastructure, proximity to the beach and town, a mix of everything Tulum offers. Prices have corrected 8 to 12% from peak, which means buyers today are getting a better entry point than the buyers back in 2022. 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom units here are the most defensible condo investments in the market. As well, villas and luxury villas perform extremely well in Aldeazama. Salvazama and Tulum 101, a master plan community, lower supply risk because of its managed development. Not cheap, but not overbuilt. Good for lifestyle buyers and long-term investors. Great location because it's near the beach, hotel zone, and Jaguar Park. Central Tulum, local market, long-term rentals only. Not really a short-term rental play. It's good for buyers who want an affordable entry into Tulum real estate and are comfortable with local rental dynamics. Region 8, it is a selective, great location and up-and-coming area in Tulum. Really good projects exist here, and you can also find very nice land to build villas. The infrastructure is improving, but the development needs to happen first before you're going to see an increase in improvement in that infrastructure. You have to do your homework on the developer and specific developments. Quality varies significantly. Region 15, this is where the market correction has hit the hardest. You have some very nice developments and beautiful villas in Region 15, but it's oversaturated with small, I call it generic jungle condo product. With limited but improving infrastructure, an oversupply of small condos, and a very low rental demand for that product. There are really good projects in Region 15, but the bad ones are generally really bad, and they are numerous. If someone is pitching you a Region 15 unit with guaranteed 85% occupancy and an incredibly high cap rate, ask them to show you the actual operational data from a completed comparable project. The burden of proof is high here. So I hope it didn't scare you. And does that actually mean that you shouldn't buy Tulum? Absolutely not. The best time to buy for a real estate investor is in a down market. It means you should buy smart And right now, in this specific market in 2026, there are 3 distinct ways to win that are generally compelling. Let me walk you through all 3. The first way to win in Tulum doesn't involve a cap rate calculator at all, and that's completely legitimate. There's a category of buyer in this market for whom Tulum is a lifestyle decision first and an investment second. And for that buyer, there are 3 properties I'd point out immediately: Faena Tulum, Azulik Residences, and Mayaliah by MGallery. Faena is a globally recognized luxury hospitality brand. Miami Beach, Buenos Aires, now Tulum. You're buying into a brand ecosystem with a global following, a culture, a specific aesthetic identity, and a guest and a buyer profile that has almost zero overlap with the generic oversupply condo market. Azulik is arguably one of the most architecturally distinctive projects in all of Tulum. International press, a design language that is instantly recognizable, and a guest profile that books specifically for the Azulik experience, not just for Tulum in general. Supply of authentic Azulik product is structurally limited by design. Mayaliah by MGallery is Accor's boutique luxury collection. Over 100 properties across 30 plus countries in cities like Doha, Seoul, Dubai, and Mayakoba. It's about 70% complete and delivering at the end of 2026 and located in Al Yazama. Owners get access to the Accor All Loyalty Program, 5,500 hotels globally. This property markets itself through Accor's worldwide distribution network and not through Airbnb. For these properties, the real question isn't what's the cap rate. It's, do I want to own a piece of something generally rare in a place I love that will hold its value because of brand protection and supply scarcity? If the answer is yes, the financial conversation is a secondary one. And that's still not a bad one. The way to win number 2 is a smart condo investor. There's some very good opportunities right now here in Tulum, and you can't fall for the pitch. The pitch is not going to work. The numbers are what matter the most. Let me show you what the actual operating expenses look like on a standard 1-bedroom condo. I'm going to walk you through this line by line because I generally don't think any other Tulum agent has done this on camera before. Let me show you what the actual operating expenses look like on an established, well-reviewed 1-bedroom condo. I'm going to walk you through this line by line. You start with your gross owner payout. That's the money deposited in your bank account after Airbnb's platform fee and the ISH lodging tax already taken out. I'm using honest and current market assumptions. 48% occupancy, $100 per night average daily rate, 175 booking nights per year. That gives you approximately $16,000 annually. That is your starting number. When you hire a property management company, the property management takes about 20% of the gross revenue per year. In this case, that's about $3,200 gone immediately. Homeowner association fees, or some people know them as strata fees. In this case, it's $165 per month for mid-range development. That's $1,980 per year. Now moving on to cleaning costs. With 47 turnovers at $80 each, based on the average stay of 3.7 nights, that's $3,760. And notice, most agents tell you cleaning fees are passed on to the guests. Sometimes yes, but the cleaning still has to happen. Someone has to coordinate it, and on many platforms, that fee goes directly to the management company, not to you. Now to electricity. For a 1-bedroom condo with a normal to high use of air conditioning, it'll be around $80 a month in a tropical climate like in Tulum. In this case, we're running $960 per year. Pool maintenance, because every good performing 1-bedroom condo usually has a plunge pool. That's going to be about $80 a month or $960 per year. The furniture reserve, I like to run about 5% of gross revenue. That's about $800 in this case, because furniture wears out, gets broken, and needs replacing, and that cost never appears in the developer projection. Internet and water, about another $1,140 per year. Maintenance and repairs, this is about $600 conservatively. This would include air conditioning maintenance or any other items that are outside of the standard wear and tear. Now we add up all the operating expenses, which is around $13,400. This brings us with a net income of $2,600. The agent or developer that you were talking to may have shown you an 8.6% yield. That's $16,000 divided by the $185,000 purchase price. Clean, simple, sounds good. However, the real pre-tax cap rate using honest numbers is 1.41%. But that is the gap. 8.6% on paper, 1.41% in reality. This is before Mexican income tax, before any vacancy, before a single unexpected repair. Now, does that mean you don't buy a one-bedroom condo? Not necessarily. It means buy at the right price, in the right location with proven rental history. Now let's look at the two-bedroom unit. This is where the numbers really start to improve. A well-located two-bedroom resale in Aldezama with a purchase price of $220,000. That's where the market actually is right now. This same unit was asking $350,000 at the peak in 2023. The assumptions are a 52% occupancy, 140-night ADR. Families and small groups book two bedrooms at a higher rate with longer stays, 190 booked nights, 4.2 night average stay, 45 cleaning turns, and an owner payout about $24,000 a year. Now to the expenses. Again, management costs at 20%, which is about $4,800. HOAs and strata fees, about $2,550 per year. Cleaning costs, with 45 turns at $80, about $3,600 per year. Electricity at $100 per month, $1,200 per year. Pool maintenance at $80 per month, $960 per year. Furniture reserves remain at 5% of gross revenue, that's $1,200. Internet and water, about $900. Maintenance and repairs, I'm budgeting $1,000. Total expenses, $16,510. Net income, $7,490. Many agents' math is $24,000 divided by $220,000, which is 10.9%. The honest pre-tax cap rate is 3.4%. It's still a gap, but it's still significant. But look at what happened compared to the one-bedroom condo. The cap rate more than doubled from 1.41% to 3.4%. Same market, same management fees, some pool costs. The difference is the two-bedroom attracts a better guest at a higher ADR with longer stays and fewer cleaning turns relative to the nights booked. And the acquisition price is doing the heavy lifting here. I firmly believe that you make your money on the buy and not just the sell. At $220,000, you're buying a 37% below market price compared to 2023. That's what a buyer's market actually means in practice. The math that didn't work at $350,000 starts to work closer to $220,000. A 3.4 cap rate pre-tax is not a spectacular return, I know, but it's honest and it's real. And with a 5 to 7 year horizon as the market recovers from a corrected entry point, it's a defensible investment thesis. And now the three-bedroom condo, and this is the best performing condo segment in the current Tulum market. So I'm using a three-bedroom resale condo and a purchase price of $300,000 and a size of about 130 square meters. The assumption is a 55% occupancy rate, $180 per night. The reason for the higher ADR is that groups and families book three-bedroom condos at a significant premium as they need the space and they're willing to pay for it. This is an average stay of 4.8 nights, which means only 42 cleaning turnovers on 201 booking nights. The owner payout is $33,000 a year. So the management gains at 20%, that's $6,600 per year. The HOA/strata fees are $3,900 per year. The cleaning fees at 42 turnovers is about $3,360 per year. The electricity at about $130 a month is $1,560 per year. Pool maintenance is about $960 per year. Furniture reserve at 5% is about $1,650 per year. The internet and water bill is around $1,260 per year. Maintenance and repairs increases due to the size, about $1,500 per year. Total expenses is $20,790. Your net income is $12,210. Agent's math is $33,000 divided by $300,000, which is 11%. But the honest pre-tax cap rate is 4.07%. Now look at what happened. The expense ratio dropped to 63%, the lowest of any condo we've looked at today. And why? Because the three-bedroom spreads fixed costs across a much higher revenue base. And the longer than average stay of 4.8 nights means fewer cleaning turnovers relative to the nights booked. Only 42 cleans on 201 nights versus 47 cleans on 175 nights for the one-bedroom condo. And notice the progression across the three condo types. 1.41%, 3.4%, 4.07%. Same market, same methodology, same honest expenses. The unit type and the acquisition price are doing all the work. And by no means is this even close to villa territory, but we'll get there in a moment. But for a condo buyer with a 5 to 7 year horizon, buying a quality 3-bedroom product at a corrected price, this is where the condo math actually starts to make sense. Now we shift the numbers to the 3-bedroom villa. This is where the math and numbers start to look very interesting. So we're looking at a 3-bedroom standalone villa. The purchase price is $580,000. There is no HOA ever. The gross revenue of this property is approximately $70,000 after platform fees and lodging taxes. That's the number that hits your bank account. Now we're using an assumption of 70% occupancy at a 300-night ADR. That implies 256 booked nights and an average stay of 5.5 nights, which means only 47 cleaning turnovers. And compare that to the 1-bedroom condo at 175 nights and 47 cleans. It's the same number of turnovers, 81 more booked nights. That is a structural advantage of a longer stay property. Let's continue with the expenses. A management fee of 20%, that's $14,000 per year. The cleaning fees at 47 turnovers is about $6,345 per year. The maintenance and repairs is around $4,500 per year. The furniture reserve at 5% is about $3,500 per year. Electricity at $300 a month is $3,600 per year. Pool service at $180 a month is $2,160 per year. This is because the villa pools are much larger than plunge pools for condos. Gardening is about $2,500 per year. This is a new expense in our table. Water is about $100 per month, which is $1,200 per year. Same as the internet costs, at about $1,200 per year. Total expenses is $39,005. Net income is $30,995. So some agents' math using the gross booking is $76,771 divided by $580,000. It's about 13.2% return or cap rate. The honest pre-tax cap rate is actually 5.34%. And now let's look at the expense ratio. It's 55.7%, the lowest of every scenario in this video so far. The villa is keeping 44.3 cents of every dollar it earns. The 1-bedroom condo kept 16 cents. That's a huge difference. And the biggest line items, management, cleaning, and maintenance, total of $24,845. That's only 35.5% of the payout. On a 1-bedroom condo, those same 3 lines consumed 55.9% before we even got to the electricity and pool. This is why the villa math works. There are no HOAs. There are longer stays that spread the fixed cost across more nights. Higher ADR means every booked night is doing more work. And $30,995 in net income on a $580,000 asset is a real tangible return, not a rounding error. This villa is not twice the condo. It is a structurally different investment, and the numbers prove it. Now let's have some fun. Let's look near the top of the market, the 6-bedroom mega villa for $3.5 million. This is where the math gets really, really interesting. A purchase price of $3.5 million, no HOA, and managed by a specialty luxury villa management company. And the booking structure matters, so let me walk you through it. 75% of the bookings come directly through the management company. They charge about a 23% commission, and that covers everything: management, concierge services, reservation management, and so on. The remaining 25% comes through STR platforms like Airbnb. Those bookings carry the platform's 3% fee. ISH lodging tax of 6% applies to all bookings across both channels. After all that, the gross revenue is approximately $583,809 in bookings. This includes all the taxes that your guest pays, and that is remitted by your management company or through the short-term rental platform. The true owner payout lands at $450,000. That's at $2,500 per night, meaning that there are only 39 cleaning turnovers all year. Now for the expenses, and notice what's not here. Again, there's no HOA, no strata fees, no building management levy, 0. However, there are expenses. Maintenance and repairs is about $25,000 a year. Furniture reserve at 5% is about $22,500 per year. Gardening at about $1,500 per month is $18,000 per year. Security at $1,500 a month at $18,000 per year. This is a new line item, but security is generally required at these ultra luxury villas. Cleaning costs at about 39 turnovers at $350 per clean, that's $13,650 per year. Electricity at $800 a month, which is $9,600 per year. Pool and water features at $800 a month, that's $9,600 a year. Many of these villas have multiple pools and multiple water features that require constant maintenance, like circulation pumps and so forth. Insurance, about $15,000 per year. Internet for about $300 per month. This is high-speed Starlink internet. Water at about $400 per month because you have all those pools, all those guests, and all that consumption. Accountant and admin. This is another line item which is about $5,000 per year because when you're running a high-performing business, you're likely set up as a corporation, which requires monthly remittance. Total operating costs, about $144,750. This gives you a net income of $305,250. The agent math is $583,809 gross revenue divided by the $3.5 million purchase price, claiming a 16.7% cap rate. The honest pre-tax cap rate is actually 8.72%, which is still very, very good. On top of that, there are upsells, chefs, private drivers, excursions, concierge services. I've included about $20,000 net per year in additional owner revenue that flows directly from the property's hospitality offerings. With the additional upsells, the net income becomes $325,250 and the cap rate moves up to 9.29%. Now let's look at the expense ratio. 32.2%. The villa keeps 67.8 cents of every single dollar it receives. Compare that to the one-bedroom condo, which only kept 16 cents. This is a structural argument. The mega villa doesn't just earn more, it is fundamentally more efficient. No HOA, longer average stays, higher ADR, a management company with a global reach bringing direct bookings. Every part of the structure works in the owner's favor. As well, far less competition on the market. So you have $305,250 in net income on a $3.5 million asset before income tax, before upsells. That is a real business. The cap rate progression across everything we've looked at tells us the whole story. 1.58%, 3.4%, 4.07%, 5.34%, and 8.72%. Same market, same methodology. The asset class and the acquisition price are doing all the work once more. Now we're going to talk about due diligence. What to ask before you buy. Before we talk about any specific property, before you look at a floor plan, before you attend a sales presentation, before you sign anything, I want to give you the tools to protect yourself. Because in September 2025, the government in Quintana Roo published a public alert identifying 26 real estate developments actively selling units in Tulum without the required permits, certifications, and legal authorizations under Mexican law. 26 projects actively selling to buyers who had no idea. The Director of Urban Development for Tulum admitted publicly that it is common practice for developers to register a corporate name, sell under a completely different brand name, and raise money from buyers first, and then try to regularize their legal situation afterwards. In his exact words, unfortunately, they first sell to raise cash and then seek to regularize their businesses after they have the money. That is the environment you are buying into. So let me show you exactly what to ask for and what the absence of those documents actually means. So this is the pre-sale checklist. If you're buying pre-sale property, anything under construction or pre-construction, there are 10 documents that must exist before any developer is legally permitted to market or sell a single unit under Mexican law. Not most of them, all of them. These are the 10 mandatory permits, and I apologize in advance for my pronunciation in Spanish. Constancia de uso de suelo. This is a land use certificate. It confirms the property is legally zoned for what is being built. If the zoning permits 2 floors and the developer is selling 5-floor units, this is where you'll find out. Number 2, licencia de construcción. This is the municipal construction permit for the municipality of Tulum. This is a foundational permit. Without it, nothing in the land is legal. It must be physically posted on the construction site by law. If you visit a site and don't see it posted, that is a red flag. Number 3, the Régimen de Viabilidad Urbanista. This is the State Urban Viability Assessment from Cenotes. This is the state-level approval for confirming the development is viable and compliant. Number 4, Factibilidad CFE. This is the feasibility certificate from the Federal Electricity Commission, confirming power infrastructure exists or is committed. Without this, units can be built with no guaranteed electrical connection. Number 5, Factibilidad CAPA. This is a potable water and sewage feasibility certificate from CAPA. If there is no confirmed water connection, there is no property. Number 6, Manifesto de Impacto Ambiental. This is the environmental impact assessment, critical for anything near the jungle, cenotes, or the coast. Tulum sits inside a UNESCO biosphere buffer. Environmental non-compliance can mean demolition orders. No fines, just demolition orders. Number 7, Régimen de Condominio. This is the condominium property regime. This is registered with the public registry. This is the legal document that creates the individual units. Without this, there's no such thing as a unit to sell. Property title can be issued once this is registered. However, many times in Mexico, the condominium regime is issued after delivery of the condos, but always something good to look for. Autorización de venta de unidades. This is the municipal authorization to sell individual units. This is a specific permit that makes marketing and selling legal. Many developments in Tulum are currently selling without this document. Number 9, Escritura de Tinel. This is the title deed confirming the developer owns or has legal rights to the land being developed. This is verifiable at the public property registry. Number 10, Fideicomiso or Mexican company structure. Tulum is within 50 kilometers of the coast. Foreigners cannot hold direct title. The bank trust must be established with a licensed trustee bank. Ask who the bank is, what the annual fee is, and to get the trust terms in writing before you sign anything. And I've heard this line from a few developers before, and this is an absolute red flag. Permit in process. This is not a permit. A promise is not a document. If the developer cannot produce the permits, the development is not legally cleared for sale. Just walk away. Part 3 is the pre-sale red flag checklist. So for part 3, I'm going to discuss the pre-sale red flags. The developer refuses to show the licencia de construcción or says it is coming soon. Stop immediately. Do not proceed. Without this permit, nothing on the land is legal. It must be posted at site by law. The development name doesn't match the registered corporate RFC name. This is a documented tactic confirmed by Tulum's Director of Urban Development, pre-selling under a different brand to obscure legal status. You see this? Walk away. There is no escrow. Your funds go directly to the developer. If the developer fails, your money is gone. An independent escrow account is non-negotiable. I have spoken to many people who have walked into my office and have talked about the woes that they've had with developers, and I feel so bad for them. By the end of the day, but the common thread for each of them, the monies went directly to the developer. The developer either did not finish the development or did not start the development. Guaranteed rental return promises in the sales contract. This is not illegal on its own, but in my experience, the numbers never add up. A signed guarantee of 12 to 14% yield is a pressured sales tactic. Ask yourself, how many completed properties are actually guaranteeing those returns? While watching this video, now you know, not many at all. However, this does not mean the development won't perform well, but 12 to 14% is pretty ambitious. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Pressure to sign quickly or lose the unit or the price. Take your time. Legitimate developers do not manufacture urgency. The price expires tomorrow, or we only have one unit left. Are classic high pressure tactics. Take your time and do your due diligence. Most developers offer the ability to reserve a unit with a refundable deposit. Take that opportunity to secure the unit and price and do your due diligence. And last on the list, the land has ejido status. Ejido is communal agricultural land that cannot be legally sold to private buyers without a full regularization process. Even with the best lawyer, ejido land is the highest risk category in Mexico. Part 4, the resale checklist. Resales do carry less permit risks than pre-sales, but title, rental history, HOA health, and physical condition are all areas where buyers get burned. Here is what to verify. Title ownership. You need to review the original public deed, not a photocopy, the registered deed. This is the only document that proves legal ownership. You need a certified extract from the Registro Público de la Propiedad, confirming who owns the property, what liens exist, and that the deed matches. The pre-deal receipts. This is the property tax records for the last 5 years because Mexican law has a 5-year statute of limitations. You want to make sure those property taxes have been paid. You also need a Libertad de Gravamines. This is a certified no lien certificate, and you want to have confirmation that the land is not ejido lands. This is a non-negotiable. Rental performance history. This is the most important line in this section. Ask for actual Airbnb and VRBO payout statements. Bank deposit records, not projections. Not the developer's revenue assumptions from 2022. Actual statements that show what hit the owner's account. Occupancy data for the last 12 months. Real nights booked. Average daily rate trends. Is it rising or falling? Utility bills, actual electricity, water, or internet costs. Sellers almost always understate these. HOA financial statements. Is the HOA solvent? Are fees current? Any pending special assessments? Condominium rules. Does the regime actually permit short-term rentals? Some condominiums explicitly prohibit Airbnbs in their bylaws, which is very rare in Tulum, but always want to double check. It is very important to review the physical condition of the condo or the villa. Always hire an independent property inspector, not the seller's recommended inspector. Always your own choice. Mold, structural issues, roofing, and waterproofing. These are items that come up in many inspections in a jungle climate. You want to confirm the air conditioning system age and condition. 24-hour air conditioning is not optional in Tulum. Replacement costs are $1,500 to $4,000 per unit. Pool condition if applicable. Pump, filters, heaters, tiles. Full pool replumb can cost up to $8,000. A lot of pool liners do fail early in Tulum because they're built from shakum. Always look at the building common areas, the lobbies, the elevators, the hallways. This reveals how the HOA has maintained the building. If you're seeing it falling apart, that's a red flag. And it's very important to have the right professional team on your side who has your best interest at heart. You need your own independent lawyer. Not the agent's recommendation, not the developer's preferred notary, your own. It costs around $1,500 to $3,000 for an independent legal review. This is the cheapest insurance you will ever buy. You also need a Mexican tax accountant from day one. ISR income tax, the 6% ISH lodging tax, the CFDI invoicing requirements, and the annual declarations. Not optional, it is the law. A good lawyer and a good tax accountant can set you up for success and reduce your risk significantly. And part 5. The one golden rule. Everything I just walked you through comes down to one principle. Ask for everything in writing. Documents, not promises. Registry entries, not verbal assurances. Actual rental statements, not projections. The buyers who do well in Tulum are the ones that showed up with the right questions before they signed. The buyers who don't, they signed first and asked questions later. And in Mexican real estate, later is a very expensive time to start asking questions. I have a free buyer's guide with the due diligence checklist in the description below. Use it on every property you look at, pre-sale or resale, before you put down a single peso. Following these steps will help protect your money and your investment. People don't just come to Tulum for the beaches. They come here to reset. They come here for the health and wellness. That's a big part of the culture here in Tulum. Yoga, meditation, organic food, and architectural spaces are designed around nature rather than in spite of it. Again, my name is Nick. I am a licensed realtor here in Mexico and in Canada. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to have a discussion about a specific property or real estate in general, I have a link to my calendar in the description below. And if you want to run numbers on a specific property, I also have a link to my free ROI calculator in the description below. Keep watching my content for more honest information about real estate in Mexico, and I really appreciate you watching. Have a great day.